my beautiful angels. Welcome to episode 10! Episode 10 of Belief. Oh my goodness, how exciting is that? Today I really want to talk about kind of what I have been going through and what really feels like this full completion, full death and rebirth, phoenix rising, like all of this kind of stuff. So if you're resonating with that, let's go. And if you're not, then prepare to receive a new perspective. Let's go. Mwah. Welcome to those that are new and welcome back to those that have been back. Thanks for coming back for more. Cannot articulate in words how much this means to me that you are listening. I feel like every time I kind of hit like a milestone in my analytics, I just am just so shocked and not shocked, but just like not shocked. I don't know. It's just this feeling of so much of wanting to hug past Bella, because past Bella wanted to do this for such a long time. And if you've been on here, you've heard me talk about this. But something that was so scary. Like I had a mindset that, there's no way that I could step out, and there's no way that, it's much safer to not show up, and it's much safer to not be at risk of criticism and not be, available for the entire freaking internet to have their opinion on you. And yeah, massive hugs to my past self, and massive hugs to you if this is where you're currently feeling right now. Like it can be scary to show up online, of course, but knowing that everything that is happening in your reality is your own doing, right? Whether you're consciously aware of your manifesting process or not, you are manifesting your reality. And the thing with that is that your perceptions are therefore ruling your entire reality. So what is always really comforting to me when I have to remind myself, like, okay, it's, be who you are, show up as who you are unapologetically. It does not matter what anybody has to say, because at the end of the day, anything anyone has to say is a projection. So in one token, when, for example, I received a message just before and someone said, "You're the cutest, like, love you so much." And immediately that shows me that they have this within them, they can be this, it's a video of me dancing on my story, but they have this same quality within them that is so beautiful. Or, an easier example of just like, oh, wow, like you're, I'm so amazed at how you're able to step out, and I'm so amazed at your courage. That shows me that person has that internally. On the other side of the coin, if someone was to say, oh, like how embarrassing that she's, dancing, or how embarrassing that she's speaking about this or whatever, or blah, blah, blah. I don't know, embarrassing is a good one. Or like, how dare she? Who thinks she has the authority to speak on this? These are all insights into how that person feels about themselves. That person, therefore, thinks it's embarrassing to show up and doesn't feel fully confident in the true expression of themselves. That person has all these negative perceptions about themselves, and they're just projecting them onto me. And we are all mirrors. We are able to just reflect that right back at them. And that's the thing. You can either choose to be a mirror, or you can choose to soak it all up. And that is really sitting in that neutrality, because obviously when it's a good compliment, you want to soak it up, but I soak it up and then I shine it right back, because it is a reflection. And if you're seeing the light in me, that means you have that same light in you. And this is another thing that, I've spoken a lot about with Mum, actually, in that when you start to step into your power and people start to hang out with this new version of you, and they have such an amazing time, and feel so expressive in themselves and love who they are, and they're having more fun, and life is feeling like a choose your own adventure. And then we stop hanging out, and then they don't feel that way anymore. And this is nothing to do with me. This has everything to do with the fact that I have created a space and given an example of what life can be like. And in that presence, it's your own light. It's your own divinity that you're experiencing. And so I really want to stress that that's not, it's not me. It's not anyone external or outside of you, that's giving you this light that was always within you. And what it was just that somebody was able to create a safe space for you to be able to be you. So really all I ask from everyone is that you recognize the own light that you have within yourself and your own divinity, and know that when you are criticizing someone else, you're criticizing yourself. Your subconscious mind literally does not give a hoot about anyone else. It only listens to what comes in and is going to take that on board, right? So if you say, oh, this person's so unintelligent, they, I don't even have like criticisms off the top of my head. They can't do this, they can't do that. How dare they think they can do this? All your subconscious, all your subconscious is hearing is that about yourself. So for example, you want to criticize somebody else's weight, you want to criticize the way somebody else looks. Your brain is like, okay, I hear that. That's about me. That's about me. That's about me. And in the same token, when you compliment someone, you're spreading so much light in the first place. And second of all, is your subconscious is hearing that about you. So obviously we don't want to compliment people with that intent. I mean, obviously what needs to come from a good, genuine place, but it's like a win-win because, for example, the other day I was not feeling so great. I'd just been into like the sort of town centre near where I'm staying, and it's quite busy. And yeah, I'm, in case you haven't realized by now, I'm kind of sensitive, and obviously my headphones like really kind of sensitive, very sensitive. My headphones really help drown out a lot of the extra noise when I'm out and about. But still there's just like, I don't know, some of you will be able to relate. There's just this like heaviness and density and like busyness of chaos. And that can really get to me if I'm, for example, like if I'm hungry and it's busy, things aren't going to go well for me. Like if I'm tired and it's busy, things aren't going to go well. So like I can still go and do those things. I can still be in public places. I can still be in busy, packed crowds, but I need to make sure that my cup is full because if my cup is not full, it's just going to get depleted a lot quicker, being this sensitive. So the other day wasn't feeling so great, and I was walking, and I saw this woman, and she just had, maybe she was like in her 50s, and she was just smiling, like nothing prompting her, like she's not looking at anything, she's just like taking in like the ocean and just everything and the day, and it's been beautiful weather here in the UK, and she was just smiling, and I kept walking, and I literally, like my soul was like, no, you need to tell her. So I stopped, and I was like, I had to like come and turn around to say, you have a beautiful smile. And the most beautiful thing about telling someone they have a beautiful smile is their smile gets even bigger, and you get to see even more of it, and you get to see like just their smile be even brighter than it was when you felt the need to compliment it. And yeah, that was just such a beautiful moment. And she looked back at me and she goes, oh, you have a beautiful smile. Like, thank you, but like you have a beautiful smile. And that is just, that is a perfect example to show that you what you see is already within you, and that your reality is a reflection of your perceptions. And she never would have, this has nothing to do, I know some people won't believe this, but it has nothing to do with your physical attributes. It doesn't even matter. Like, okay, I'm so blessed in the teeth department. I'm so thankful because I really didn't love the dentist growing up. I mean, I still don't love it right now. It's not my favorite place in the world. But I have all my wisdom teeth in my head. They're just sitting straight up. They're no problem. They're not pushing anything. They're just sitting there. So I'm so freaking blessed. But it honestly has nothing to do with your physical attributes, and it has everything to do with your energy and the energy that you're putting out, because it is all internal, and it all starts internally. And I know this is hard to grasp. And I had a time, that sounds like a car, but it's just a bird tweeting, which is so beautiful. For the majority of my life, I considered myself ugly. I would look in the mirror and I would be like, it is just this everyone knows how ugly I am. This is what the voice in my head. I would be like, everybody knows how ugly I am, but nobody wants to tell me that, they'll say I'm beautiful. My family will say I'm beautiful, but I know I'm not. And the other thing is, I looked pretty different to the people that I grew up with in Australia. I am a bit of a cocktail. I am a bit of a mix of nationalities. And so I did always feel a little bit different. And so when you grow up with the beauty standard around you being one thing, then it's really hard to feel beautiful in your own way. So pretty much my whole life, honestly, up until 2021 did I consider myself beautiful, and that's because I developed really severe cystic acne in 2020. Pain is information, disease is information. My body was just trying to show me that something in my life needed to change. And with the acne, once I started to gain it, my face has gone from being clear, teenage skin, never really having problems, had pimples here and there, to the my cheek, underneath my cheekbone area, just fully cystic with it almost just looked like boils, and it's so severe. And if you've experienced this, I really feel for you, because I know how heartbreaking it is, because it's your face and it's what you put forward first. And it wasn't until I had this cystic acne all over my face that I then went, oh my God, I was so beautiful before and I had no idea. And it was that perspective shift, because at that time I looked, sure, you can say objectively the worst that I'd ever looked. And that was the time that I felt the most beautiful. And I have this photo of me where my acne is at its absolute worst. Absolute worst. But I'm smiling, and you can see, I can see that there's pain in my eyes, but there's also so much beauty, that I was recognizing in myself in that photo. So yeah, beauty is not objective. It is honestly comes down to your energy, and you need to believe the possibility that you could be beautiful. It all starts with you. Classic example, 100 people can tell you you're beautiful, and one person can tell you that you're ugly, and all you're going to think about is that, right? So it's a process, and working on yourself is a process. So if you don't feel beautiful, or you don't feel, handsome, or whatever word you want to identify with, you need to foster that within yourself. So you need to look in the mirror and you need to say the things like, wow, you can say whatever you want, but saying I am beautiful, and I'm thankful for my body, and I'm thankful, for my limbs that allow me to move, and I'm thankful because it doesn't even need to start with the external features. It can literally just start with the function of your body. And it really is, so much of this work is getting back into your body, getting back into the present moment, and just pausing and going, thank you, body. All you've ever done for me is work. All you've ever done for me is do the best that you can with the resources that I'm giving you. And when you look at it that way, like every cell in your body is rooting for you. Every cell. Like you think nobody loves you? You have like billions? I'm going to say billions. I'm not sure. You can fact check that. But you have XYZ, however many amount of cells in your body rooting for you. They only care about you and they work for you. They're the little minions that are working for you and they're working their absolute hardest. So give them some freaking love. Like let them know you're thankful. Thank you, heart, for freaking beating. Thank you, lungs, for allowing me to fill you up with clean air so you can continue to keep me alive. I mean, thank you, brain, for doing all the things that you do and allowing me to, wipe the eyebrow sweat off my eyebrow while I'm holding my phone and recording a podcast and while I'm still breathing and while my heart's still pumping and while I'm able to look around and take in all the things around me and be grateful. So really, I would suggest starting with just loving your body for its functions, and then you can slowly, move into loving the external parts of your body. And it is a practice. So, you're not going to just love it out of nowhere. That's just not how things work. You need the neurons to connect, because right now, the path that you're taking, the default for you is to think you're, not that great, or to think that you're not beautiful, or to think that you can't do this. And so it's just repetition, just how everything goes. It's repeat until eventually those little synapses in your brain, they'll eventually all come together, and the path of least resistance, the easiest path for you and your brain, will be to believe that you're beautiful, or will be to believe that you're strong, or will be to believe that you are so beautifully unique in your own way that you could never compare yourself to anybody else, because what is the use in that? Nobody does you like you, so why would you try and be anybody else? Your energy is so unique, so unique, and you can help so many people just by being you. And that's not even anything to do with, by being you, that leads you to choosing you and choosing peace and choosing joy, and then eventually choosing, a lifestyle that supports you so that you're in the best capabilities, or you're in, this highest version of yourself so that you can help other people. There's that, right? And that's the bigger picture. But on a small scale, just by you being you shows other people that it is safe for them to be them. And you just watch as you make the shifts internally within yourself, you will start to draw in these people that maybe at one time you probably wouldn't have gotten along with as well. But now they've gone through their journey and their process, and now they've allowed, they've switched some lights on and they're seeing their divinity and they're seeing your light. And so when you come together, it can just be this beautiful experience of, humans in a community, whether that's, 2+ or whatever, just humans connecting and being themselves in their most authentic expression. And that is just so fun, because you feel like kids again, like you feel like you're with your siblings, you feel like you're with your cousins, and these are just regular people. When you would do a dance performance and you would just be silly in front of, family events or whatever. I'm not sure if everyone can relate to this, but I know some of you will. That childlike expression is still in us. Like we're all just big giant children roaming earth trying to figure it out. And that's the other thing. A lot of the darkness in the world right now is because we're letting these unhealed children that are in adult bodies make big decisions. I mean, how many unhealed, traumatized, wounded 7-year-olds are in the body of these 40+ men that are making all of these decisions? And obviously not just 40+ men. I'm just using that as an example. These people have traumas that they need to deal with before they can be making all sorts of decisions. That's personally why I believe that there's war and why there's all this darkness, is because there is just so much wounding in in people, and then this manifests as a collective, and especially like the wounded feminine is one thing and the wounded masculine is another. And when you can come into balance with both of those sides of yourself, it really just is such a beautiful dance with life. And that's something else as well. I can fully recognize that, you know, both being a woman and being a man, or whoever, just being a human in this world is hard enough. But for the collective of masculines, those that identify, you know, largely more masculine than feminine, I've seen so many masculines now integrating their inner feminine, and it is so beautiful. And I just want to say to the guys out there, it does not make you gay if you're embracing your inner feminine. Like, I know that so many straight men in particular are afraid of this. I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to do that because it's gonna make me like, that's gay. That's using gay as like a derogatory term, which it obviously is not. Or, you know, that's too girly. Just whatever. And I just want to say, like, for a masculine to be embracing their feminine is actually so much hotter. And I know that that's obviously not the drive, but I'm not sure if people know this. Like, a masculine's ability to say, you know what, I will put on some eyeliner, whatever, when in Berlin, you know. And shout out to my two masculine friends that did this. And it's so incredible because it's just them stepping into their power and going, I'm a human having an experience, and I'm gonna play and I'm gonna have fun, and I'm not gonna just rule something out because I have this preconceived idea of whether or not this is masculine or whether or not this is feminine, or just like what it's, yeah. It's so not necessary to not try something on or not try an experience because you're worried about the perception of other people. Let me say it again. I don't know what I said, but same message in that, why limit yourself to a human experience because of your preconceived perception of it? Because your perception is now not even giving you like solid information. Like, you can really only have a perception of something, like as in a really solid perception of something that you can trust, when you've tried it on and when you've gone through that experience. And then you can go, okay, well, my perception was this, and then I had this experience. So now pairing the two together, well, the experience is actually quality evidence. There's much more quality evidence of whatever it is that you're judging or perceiving. So if you're just perceiving something and judging it, you're putting it at a distance from you. If you're experiencing it, you're immersing yourself into that, and therefore the evidence that you gather for yourself is so much richer. And when I'm talking about evidence, I mean whether or not it's a useful tool. So, for example, you might think, oh no, I don't want to do yoga. Like, that's just like, nah, it's just not for me. Like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I just don't think no, I'm not going to do that. So just based on whatever perception you have from, you know, secondary resources, like things that you've seen, not experienced, then, well, first of all, it's not a great perception because it doesn't open you up. But second of all, you're missing out on such a massive experience. And it's not until you have the experience and you do the thing that now you have a bit of evidence to go, oh, okay, well, I perceived, you know, this experience to be this way before I did it. But now that I've done it, I actually feel amazing. And I'm actually so amazed at the kind of people I met through this experience and the parts of myself that it's opened up. And now I just feel like, you know, how can I judge anything before I've experienced it? So that's where we're trying to go. I personally did the exact same thing with the United Kingdom. I was like, no, don't want to go there. Nothing interests me. Looks cold, looks miserable. People look grumpy. it's not the kind of food that I eat. I'm like, I don't even like fish and chips. I don't like, quite meat and carby dense food that colder countries have. And so I fully had, my own perception of this place, which was coming from judgment and wasn't even good evidence. It was all secondary resources because I am the primary resource and I hadn't yet experienced it and I didn't stay open. And then this just seems to be the way life works for me. God goes, all right, then you reckon you're going to have your judgment about this place? I'm going to give you a reason to go there and you're going to want to go there now. And so that allowed me again, even like someone who's constantly embodying no judgment, no perception. Now, again, I'm reminded that you cannot judge something until you try it, and until you experience something, then can you actually be able to speak on your own perspective, because you now have more information and more evidence, and it's not just this wishy-washy like, I just think it'll be cold there. Like, they have summer here. It's been so hot since I've been in the UK, and I've had a really, really nice time, and the English break has been really awesome. It's like way more relaxing to like order food. Like, honestly, in Prague, I barely ordered food because I was just like, this is hard. Czech is hard. And I kind of just like hid. Also, that was like my first part of, my solo travel. So I was admittedly like a little bit nervous and a little bit just like eek. So yeah, the English break has been really, really nice. With all of that being said, I hopped on here because I wanted to talk about this whole energy of birth and rebirth and transformation and metamorphosis and phoenix rising and all these things really meaning the same thing, in really, really embodying the message that if you want something new, if you want everything to change and you're ready for something new, you're ready for the next up level, anything that doesn't serve you needs to go. So the phoenix doesn't like half die. You can't half-ass death. The phoenix doesn't like, get sick and then get better. The phoenix dies. The phoenix goes up in flames into ashes. There is nothing left but ashes. And then there's a pause. It doesn't come back right away. So it's not until the full death, can't half-ass death, then we have a pause, and that's when we then have the rebirth. And this concept could sound absolutely insane to some of you, but this is what I have just gone through, and it's not the first time this has happened, but it's always really funny when something like this happens again, because I think a lot of talk is like, you've got to have your ego death, and once you've had your ego death, like, you're all good. It's like, no. You keep having them and they keep happening, and you keep shedding new layers. And the death process, if you want something to change, things need to fall away, and it can be really hard when it feels like the universe kind of orchestrated something, and you feel like you didn't get a say, and you feel like you couldn't really control the situation, and it just prompted this death, and it prompted you to go back into yourself and back into that, like, that feeling of just like, oh my God, everything I know, I don't know anything anymore. And for me to feel that way was so surreal, because I just, and I know, and I always preach, like, you're never fully healed. Like, you always continue, and it's always new layers. But to have to fully go through, almost like I went through every single belief I had, and it was questioned. It was like, okay, this belief, what do you think about this belief? All right, next, this belief. Bella, what do you think about this belief? And meanwhile, I'm in like the pits of darkness here. So it's like, I'm just I feel like I'm just going through like the washing machine of life and getting like tossed around, new belief. How do you feel about this? New belief. And just constantly, being tested by being tested by myself and really running all of my beliefs back through the washing machine. And really what that has been was like when I went through, I guess, heartbreak, quote unquote heartbreak, I was collecting all the tools and collecting all the things and gathering all the things that helped me and all the, I guess that's what I'm doing here right now on the podcast. Like it's really this collection of all my tools that got me to where I am, which is at a point of, peace and joy and freedom and contentment. It was like I had to then be my own case study. Like I had to be my own example. And it was like, all right, Bella, you put all these heartbreak tools together and all these, awakening tools together. So there you go. Now you got to use them on yourself. And it's kind of like, okay, okay then. So yes, I did. I used all the tools that I had and all the resources, and telling myself all the right things and all the self-care and all the self-love. And a lot of these things were just allowing myself to rest, allowing myself to take the processing time I need, honoring my emotions. This is the key, guys. Feeling the emotions all the way through. No matter how ugly you're crying, no matter how puffy your eyes are. Like my eyes were honestly swollen. Like I'd never seen them like this before. I do have photos, so I can share those. It's almost like for research purposes because I love like taking a photo and of like a tragic time and then seeing the next day and then being like, wow, like look how much I've grown from that and just feeling so much love for that past version of myself. Even if, she does look absolutely insane, I still love every single part of myself, and the insanity is part of that and the really emotional side is part of that. So yeah, I kind of got put through my own ringer, and it's and I mean the tools work, guys. I really did honor my space and honor my time and my emotions and, did the self-care things. And even I had a moment where, on the hardest day, I was like, I'm so hungry and I just don't have any food. And, I really just want to get food delivered. And I'm going through the app and it's really expensive. And I'm like, oh my God. And I just have to remind myself like, Bella, you say that during this time, you need to prioritize yourself and prioritize self-love. And in that moment, prioritizing self-love was making sure that I got fed. And the fastest, most efficient way to do that was to pay for delivery. And it's not usually something I don't usually order food in. So I was working through that belief, and something that can sound so small was so big, but also so beautiful to show myself that example. And once the food arrived, it's like, thank you past Bella for making this decision. Thank you, Bella, for working so that I have the money to make these kind of decisions in these times. So yeah, it was really, really just nurturing yourself and seeing yourself as like you're reparenting yourself. You're the mother holding the baby and not telling the baby to stop crying, not like shh, stop. Just holding the baby, holding yourself. Allow yourself to feel all of the emotions fully, because guys, then they don't even last as long. I'm telling you, ignore everything else, sure, whatever. But if you want to be more effective in your life and save time, honor your emotions. Like it can be as simple as that, because it takes 90 seconds for an emotion to pass through the body. 90 seconds. In the scheme of a day, that's not very long at all. In the scheme of an hour, that's not very long at all. So if you fully allow yourself to feel it, let it flow through you like a river, like it's water, let it flow, because the only time that it lasts longer is when you're perpetuating a narrative about what the emotion is and what that means now that you have the emotion. So just feel it, observe it, don't attach anything to it, hold yourself just like you would a baby that's crying. So yeah, so much self-love in this practice. I can absolutely go into, more detail on this. But overall, that was really the death process and honoring yourself through that process. And then there comes this transitional period in the middle. So like I said with the phoenix, I'm like imagining in Harry Potter, because that's the only time I've really seen a phoenix die and rise from the ashes. And in Dumbledore's office, when the phoenix burns to the ashes, there's like this moment where there's no phoenix and it's this stillness. And that was the next part of the phase. And I really thought it was just death and rebirth, like the Ouroboros. I thought, death, rebirth, but there's actually a stillness, and there's actually this like almost purgatory where you're just like, what am I? Like, I remember waking up the next morning and being like, I don't know anything. Like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what planet I'm on. I'm just so confused. I just didn't even have the words to articulate how I felt. And that is that transitionary period. And then you really need to just honor yourself during that. And again, back to the self-love, allow yourself to rest, allow yourself to have the time that you need, ground in nature, be patient with yourself, because when you honor the death and when you honor the bardo, the transitionary period between, when you get reborn, it is the most beautiful thing ever, because you haven't rushed any other element of the process. You've just allowed it to happen. And so in that period, you're not forcing a rebirth. You're not saying, oh, well, I should be like, back on my BS now. I should go to a cafe and get my laptop, and do some things. No, if you just fully honor yourself during that process like a baby, then the rebirth will come so naturally, and it will be so beautiful. And I'm still kind of unveiling this rebirth process, and the beauty of it all, and just now being able to do all of the things that I couldn't do before, because I did have a lot of limiting beliefs before this most recent ego death. I was still afraid of showing up. I mean, obviously I'd been talking on here, but there's so much more to me. Like there is so much more that I do want to share with you guys, and I do want to just be a more true expression of myself and have a lot more of that rawness, because it isn't just the podcast. Like, the podcasts are recorded, when I'm in flow and when I'm able to deliver this, and this is not all the time. I can guarantee you this is not all the time. And so I had always wanted to show up in different ways, but I still had limiting beliefs, and I was ready for a change. And I'd said, I'm ready for the next up level. And in order for me to be fully reborn, everything else had to die, and everything else had to be tested against the new version of myself that I wanted to be and wanted to embody. So I know this is a lot. I know, and love you guys so much for sticking with it. If you can relate, let me know. If you can't, it is okay. That is so okay. I know that it can be scary, but I promise you, change doesn't happen without a little bit of scary. That's just how it is. Albert Einstein says, you cannot solve a problem with the same level of consciousness. That created the problem. Let me say that again. You cannot solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it. So in order to solve the problem, you got to upgrade your consciousness. You got to go back through your limiting beliefs. You've got to see things from new perspectives. You got to have different experiences, and that's just it, guys. Once again, choose your hard. Do you want to choose the hard of changing and having to go through that death and rebirth? Or do you want to choose the hard of, being, you've got your comfort now and you've got your safety for the way things are, but you're still a little bit unsatisfied? So it's choosing your hard, and at the end of the day, anything that you go through, you can handle, because you can word it however you want, but the way that I usually say it is that God wouldn't give you anything you couldn't handle. And that's what I kept reminding myself during that process, is that if my body and my soul feel comfortable enough to release all of this, it means it knows that I can handle it, because you're not actually dying. You're not actually dying. It feels like that. But you're not. Nobody's dying, okay? It's all goods. It's just a process, and getting to the best. And, success isn't easy, guys. I mean, if success were easy, then we would all be successful. So it really is just about choosing your hard, and also choosing your definition of success. For me, my definition of success is being happy and being at peace and being joyful and being able to create without limitations, and be myself without limitations. That is success to me. So yeah, define what it is that you want, and know that it's going to be a little bit hard. But if you honor your emotions on the other side of that, it's freaking beautiful, guys. Freaking beautiful. So yeah, I know that was a lot to take in. I really appreciate you sticking all the way through. And yeah, I am absolutely here, guys. Like, absolutely here. I'm always here for you. You've got this. And at the end of the day, you don't even need me. You have got you, and I know you've got you. But in terms of, the tools and the resources, they can really, really help. And all it is creating your own collection of tools and resources that work for you. And soon they just become a part of your practice, and soon it's really easy. Like, with this growth, it's not, in the past it would be like, oh, I need to go do a meditation. Like, I need to go sit on the balcony and do a meditation. And now it's like, oh no, like, if I want to feel good, I'm going to do this meditation. I know how good this makes me feel. Or, I'm feeling like I had that many cold showers over that process, because I know what it does for my nervous system. And it's uncomfy, but choose your hard. So once again, it's really, I mean, the masculine term for it is discipline, but it doesn't need to have, it doesn't need to be discipline in the way of like, no, you can't. If that works for you, if that works for the masculine collective, of course. But for the feminine, it doesn't really work for me to go, you will have a cold shower, you bitch. Like, you better do it. It's like, okay, it's a very nurturing way that I do this for myself. It's like, okay, you know how good you'll feel afterwards. The dopamine is always tenfold that of the pain that you go through, during the cold shower, because afterwards it does feel really good and you can be really proud of yourself. And that's exactly how confidence is built, is just doing something, that you don't really want to do, but it's good for you and it's for your future self, and you do it. And in the present moment, you're choosing your future self, and that is the vision that you keep holding. So I'm so freaking proud of you guys. I love you so, so much. Everything is going to be okay, but you got to choose yourself, and you got to love yourself first. And sometimes that means doing some things that feel hard in the moment, but just know that your future self is on the other side, and they are so freaking grateful for you. And in the same token, how grateful are we for our past selves? How grateful are we for the fact that the past you had to go through so many versions and so many iterations of self to get to this point, to where you're sitting here today. There are no coincidences, guys. You're here for a reason. You have such an amazing life ahead of you, and I can guarantee it. So continue to choose yourself, put yourself first, love yourself, And just freaking dance, guys. Freaking dance. I don't know if you've been seeing my stories, but dancing is so healing for me. Just have a boogie, just be silly, and know that, the stars are always watching. The stars are your biggest fans. So when you're on your own, it's like you're living a reality TV show and the stars are watching and they're like, oh my God, yay, a collab, when two people meet up. Wow, cool, crossover, wow. Like they love the show and they love when it's just you. So freaking dance for yourself and for the stars. Love you so much, guys. Mwah.